Welcome to episode number 6 on Many Roads Traveled. So we have now gone just under 3,000 miles, and on today's episode, we are going to be covering another 2,200 miles. And we'll be starting off in Cyprus, as we've just left Turkey after a lovely 2 weeks. However, this episode, I think, should be called How the Hell Do We Get to Africa? Or are you bleep and bleep, 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 kidding me? You will understand shortly what I mean by that. Okay, before we get back on the road, I just want to give a shout out to my review of this week, which is brought to you by, or brought to me, I guess, from Love Here. It says, woohoo! Great start. Very much looking forward to tuning in on a weekly basis. Tamara, you're so warm and engaging and not surprising. The travel tips and awesome anecdotes are a pleasure to listen to. Thanks for bringing such positive entertainment and interesting conversation at a time that it's very much needed in this world. Love it. Well, love you right back. That's awesome. And if you want to shout out, just go down to my website, manyroadstravel.com, and there's instructions how you can do that under the podcast page. And yeah, I'll be shouting out one every week. And then to go to the podcast stats. Okay, so Canada is still leading the charge. Woohoo! Thanks, Canucks. USA is number 2. Come on, they are America. Surely you could use a break from reality too. And UK, all right, you're coming up. You're catching up now. You're like 3 downloads behind the States. So well done, my Brits. And Ireland is number 4. Top of the morning to you. And France is number 5. Bonjour et merci. Okay, because I thought, you might be interested to come on the podcast journey along with the road trip. Okay, so thanks for all of my listeners around the world. You guys rock. So let's pick it up. So we're jumped on an express ferry to Zaku, Turkey, to North Cyprus, so the Turkish side of Cyprus, because Cyprus is it's split in 2 halves basically. Greek owns half, and the Turks own the other half. Although Cyprus, they're very patriotic about their Cyprus, right? Anyway, so ferry's only about 3.5 hours if you take the express, which we did. And then we got to a little town called Gurna. Sweet little town. It's surprising that when you travel, like you get your first impression of a place, right? And more times than not, that actually sticks to the whole country, which is kind of weird, but that's just my experience. And yeah, I had a nice vibe of Cyprus. It was like your typical kind of Mediterranean island in a way, and it's all mountainous and, whitewashed buildings and, the beautiful Mediterranean Sea. So yeah, what's not to like? So we found a nice cheap place. So it's good. Turkey was cheap and Cyprus was still staying cheap. So we got a pension for like $3 each a night. So I'm traveling to give you a recap, if you're just tuning in or this is your first episode, I do highly suggest you go back to the intro to get the backstory, and then so you can come along on the whole 30,000 mile road trip that I did. And also a friend of mine pointed out this weekend that I didn't kind of maybe emphasize enough the mission of this trip was to go from Paris to Cape Town by land or water. So thanks, Roxy. Okay, so we get to find a little pension, and it's owned by a lovely man called Abo, and he plied us with endless cups of tea, and then he brought out some green fried tomatoes and some flatbread. So that was a very lovely welcome. Again, it's kind of like the first people we meet, we form some sort of bond with, and they really take us under our wing. So always appreciative. So yeah, so we, just hang out there for the day, walk around the town and just kind of chill out. And so that's day 1. So day 2 we say goodbye to Abo, and we head over to Lefkasa, which is the closest town near the border. And we just kind of basically stumbled up to the border. We didn't see any signs or anything. I don't know. So we get to the border, and as we're leaving the Turkish customs, they're just chuckling away and just wishing us well. And that kind of had a foreboding feeling. So we get to the Greek side, and they're just like, "No way, Jose, are you coming through? Not possible." So yeah. Great. And the ferries to Israel only leave on that side. So, but apparently you could go, if we would have gone, if we, way back, if we would have went from Rhodes to Greek Cyprus, that would have been fine. We could have even crossed on the Turkish side, but the other way, Greeks weren't having none of it. So that kind of sucked. So we're like, okay, so I guess it's back to Abo's pension in Kurna. So go back there. He's like, oh, well, hi guys. So I'm like, Casey, what are we going to do? And I just want to point out, Casey's my friend who I left Canada with, right? So I think we've been on the road now for about 5 weeks-ish. So I was like, well, let's go to a travel agency because I need to see a world map. We got to figure out where the hell we are in the world and how we're getting to Africa. So do that. We go to a travel agent, and I'm like, okay. And we talked to them. We're like, hey, we want to get to Egypt. So these were our options. It was either, I think we could have got a flight from there to Istanbul and then Istanbul flight to Cairo, or go back to the mainland Turkey and get the bus to Istanbul and then fly to Cairo. Now, obviously, we didn't want to fly, so those two options were out the window. Third option was backtrack 550 miles that we've just done to go back to Rhodes, and then Rhodes, possibly we get a ferry from Rhodes to the Greek side of Cyprus, which is so annoying when you're right there. but yeah, actually I don't know if we knew for sure, because again we're in February, so it was off season, so I don't know if we knew for sure that the ferries did even leave from the Greek side of Cyprus to get to Israel. Or the fourth option was to go overland, either through Lebanon, Israel, or Syria and Jordan into Egypt. Anyway, so we asked the traveler, we're like, okay, so basically we have to leave Cyprus. So we go back to the pension. So yeah, so we just went back and hung out with Abo for the day. Really? Okay, so now we're on day 3. So we say goodbye to Abo again, head to the ferry, and we're going to buy our ticket, and they're like, oh no, the express ferry doesn't leave till tomorrow, and the normal ferry just left half an hour ago. Now, why would I think that not one but 2 travel agents told me that the express left today? Hey ho. So we're like, okay, and then we met this Russian guy Boris at the ferry, and we started chatting to him. I think Casey even ended up exchanging a t-shirt for a pocket watch with him. Very random. So we're like, well, let's just go get drunk. So what else is there to do? So we did that. We bought some beers and a couple bottles of wine, and we just headed down to the seafront and actually just had a really nice day. It was a beautiful sunny day. So it was getting a little bit warmer. I think it was down to maybe 2 layers. Then we go, okay, so now the 4th day. Now we're on the 4th day. So we finally say our final goodbyes to Abo. He was like, you're never leaving. We get the express ferry. We get back to Saku, Turkey. And it's not like it's too late for us to go anywhere. So we end up just finding a cheap hotel and staying the night. I did manage to call the Lebanese embassy before they closed and just said, we're 2 Canadians. Can we come from Turkey into Lebanon? And he was like, madam, there is a war going on. This is 1993, right? I was like, so that's a no? Yeah, no. And I just want to take this second here to, very sad to hear what's happened in Beirut with that massive explosion. I wish everyone well, and I hope that they can get their country sorted out soon. I still haven't been to Lebanon. So yeah, lots of love to you guys in Beirut and Lebanon. Okay, so we know we cannot go to Lebanon. So now we're like, okay, definitely Syria and Jordan. So I phoned the Syrian embassy and I said, oh, the same kind of thing. And he was like, okay, yes, of course you can, yep, you can go by land, and I think the visa's for free and you can get the visa at the border. So I'm like, awesome, brilliant. Okay, great. So at least we have a plan. Day 5. Okay, so now we're on day 5. It was many different buses and minivans day, basically, big travel day. So we got a bus to Silfiki, and then from Silfiki, a minibus to Mersin, and then another minibus to Adana, and then another minibus to Antakya. So it was about 8 hours in total. But as we were so we went to the bus station in Antakya to see about getting a ticket to Damascus. And they're like, well, have you got a visa? We're like, no, I just spoke to them. And they're like, we can get a visa at the border. And they're like, don't think so. I think you have to go to Ankara, which is like 12 hours away, to get a visa. We're like, oh, are you bleeping kidding me? Oh my gosh. So we're just never leaving Turkey, basically. I'm just going to read a little excerpt from that day from my journal. And we're like, okay, I'm going to have to phone the embassy again, the Syrian embassy again tomorrow to find out about this visa. Because we're literally only like an hour away from the Syrian border where we are right now. So we're just kind of fingers crossed. So that night I write in my journal, I'm like, so for now, I sit in my bedbug bed with the lovely odor of piss seeping under the bathroom door at my head, and enjoying the hunger pangs due to my great dinner of bug salad, hairy pita bread, and pink chicken. Oh, happy day. Yeah, I can remember that. It was not, yeah, we're not feeling it too much right now. Okay, so then on day 6, I called the Syrian embassy, speak to another guy, and he's like, yes, no, you can definitely get a visa at the border. It is probably going to be free, and have a nice picnic in Syria. I was like, okay, great, thank you. So we jump on this sardine-packed minibus and drive an hour of this super bumpy road to near the border. Then you have to get a taxi to the actual border. And we literally have all of our fingers crossed, our toes crossed, and with bated breath, we go to the customs and show our passport, and they were like, where's your visa? And I was like, what? I just spoke to like the two. Impossible. Nope, you cannot come in. You must get a visa. I did almost cry at that point. But I actually just was like, I just went blank. I just went devoid of emotion, like just nothing, just empty basically. And Casey and I just looked at each other and were like, this sucks. But so back in a taxi, back in the sardine packed bus, back to Tagasu, or no, not Tagasu, Antakya. We go to the bus station. There's a bus leaving that night, 11 o'clock, to Ankara. So we just went and changed some more money to get some more Turkish lira, and got some food, just killed some time, probably playing blackjack. I was up to $7.25, much to Casey's consternation. And so, yeah, we get on the bus, and it's a big bus. But oh my gosh, I didn't smoke at the time. I think I smoked 3 packs of cigarettes secondhand in those 11 hours on the bus. No ventilation, no windows opening, nothing. It was brutal. So, okay, so I guess the start of day 7 at 2 in the morning, we arrived in Ankara and get a taxi. Taxi kind of dumps us in the middle of, well, kind of, and Ankara is huge, like it's the second biggest city in Turkey, and it's the capital of Turkey, actually. And so, yeah, he ripped us off, of course. That's the only time we got ripped off in Turkey, really. And it wasn't by much, right? Just overcharged us for the taxi ride. Anyway, so then we had to walk around at like 2:30 in the morning to try and find a hotel, which we finally did. I say hotel, I mean basically we got like a jail cell room. It was like two tiny cots, like with about 2 feet between them. And then right where your head was the bathroom, but it was like, you know, the ceramic hole, like not a toilet that we use, the Western toilet, but like a hole in the ground toilet. And like you could stand there and reach the sink. So it was tiny as well. No shower. So I think I'd had one shower so far. What is day 7 almost. I think I averaged so far this trip a shower every 3 days. Not because I didn't want to shower, just that we didn't have access to them. So you get used to it. Anyways, yeah, so we find this room, and it was so cold. It was like 0 degrees in Ankara. And of course, it's like, well, now early Saturday morning. So the embassy, Syrian embassy, isn't open until Monday. The good times keep on rolling. So we crashed for hours, and then we just decided, we're like, okay, we're just going to go to a market and just stay in our hotel. Like, we're not even going to do anything. We're just going to save money. Because now this is the added cost is like, you know, it's not great. Especially when you're on, you know, very long backpacking trip. So we did that, went to this market, and, you know, lovely Turkish people again. And because they're used to people buying like kilos of produce and stuff, right? So we ended up, we're like, no, we just want like 2 tomatoes or 2 apples or... So they gave us a lot of stuff for free, actually. Very nice. And we finally got some Turkish delight, so we got to try that. Yeah, so and then the weekend literally was spent us in our little tiny room playing blackjack, reading, listening to tunes, and trying to stay warm, because again, no heat in your rooms. So that was it. So finally on day 9, the Monday, the big day arrives. Head to the Syrian embassy. So we get there at about 10:45. I'm not sure why we were that late getting there, but that's us. So we get there and there's a big queue there. So we're waiting in queue. And luckily I asked someone, I was like, do we need any forms or anything to get our Syrian visa? And luckily someone said, oh yeah, you're Canadian. You need to have a letter from your government. You have to go to the Canadian embassy. Well, of course, the Syrian embassy closes at 12. It's now 10:45. We're like, oh my God. So we jump in a taxi, get to the Canadian embassy, explain the situation. Like, yep, it's $10 for this letter. I'm like, ridiculous. Like, why do you need a letter when you have a passport? Anyways, so that took about half an hour to get. We jump in another taxi, get back to the Syrian embassy with like 20 minutes to spare, but get our application in. They're like, okay, it takes about 2 hours to process. So come back in a couple hours. Well, that morning I'd also woken up with like really, really bad period pains. So it felt like someone had shot me in the stomach. See, one thing that guys don't have to deal with, Casey didn't have to deal with, you just had to kind of deal with me. So we went for a long lunch, and also on top of my period pains, I hadn't really slept much at all. Like we've had, as you can hear, like couple really long travel days, as well as just the stress of things not going our way. And with I have a rare blood illness, which is kind of like, part of it is kind of like having arthritis in your blood. So my whole body was like inflamed and in pain, and just was not feeling good at all. But this is what you do when you have a chronic illness, or, you know, just suck it up and continue. And I was only 23 at the time, so I had a lot more energy back then. Anyway, so we go back to the Syrian embassy, and we get our visa. Hallelujah. And then go back to the bus station, because we had our big backpacks with us the whole time too, right? So we head to the bus station. There's a bus leaving at 11 o'clock back to Antakya, where we just were. So again, killing time. So that's why I always say to people, like, bring, you know, obviously books. Back then, you know, no Kindles or anything like that. So, but cards, playing cards, you waste like, you can, you know, it takes up a lot of hours. So those are very good to bring, books and cards. Get back on the bus again. It's like another 11 hours. Again, smoking 3 packs of cigarettes. I just felt like crap. No sleep again. Just sleep on the bus again. So I was literally exhausted. So we get back to so now it's day 10, and get back to Antakya at 7 in the morning. we find a bus, well, not the bus, but another minivan to get to the border. Same deal, you know, jam-packed sardine. Get back to the border. We're like, hi, it's us again. So after 6 passport checks, 1 baggage check, we finally made it, and we left Turkey after like, well, that was 10 days from Cyprus, and they were 2 weeks before there, so almost 4 weeks in Turkey. But like I said, I love Turkey, and I did go back again in 98 and spent 5 weeks there, so Turkey's great. But it was like, can we bloody ever leave here? And can we please get to Africa? So we finally did. And like I said, so that trip was, well, that, like, this episode covered, like I said, 2,200 miles. Ridiculous. Because a lot of those miles did not have to be done. And so now I think it is time for Tam's Top Tips. So my tip number 1 is, yeah, check your ferry schedule. Like what time they're leaving, when they're going, again, where they go. Obviously, it's a lot easier now that you have Google and you could just search stuff. Like, the internet wasn't around in 93, so we didn't have that option. And also check your visas. Like, what if you need visas? If you do, where can you get them? At the border or at the embassies? And again, that's much easier in Google. And you can just look up on your government websites kind of thing. So wherever you're from, look it up for wherever you're going. Much, much easier these days. Okay, and tip number 2, I would say you could skip Ankara, even though it's the capital of Turkey. But unless you're going to the Black Sea, then okay. But yeah, I mean, we didn't see anything there really, so I can't say. But it's far to go, basically. You know, I'd stick along the coast or even in the middle of it. It's Turkey's great. No offense to Ankara people at all, but yeah, it was a long detour, that's for sure. Oh yeah, and tip number 3 would be Cyprus. It is, I've just looked, I mean, shortly after we were there, the border actually opened up again between them. You can go either way. But I just looked up now, and it's end of July, 2020. They just don't like each other, like I said. So I guess the border's pretty much closed again. So you kind of have to pick which side of Cyprus you want to go to and stick with that. I mean, it might resolve itself in the future again. So, whoops. So yeah, check into these things. Okay, and then for female travelers, I always felt comfortable in Turkey and Cyprus, and most people were like so kind and so generous. So I really don't think you'd have a problem in Turkey. Obviously, you know, dress appropriately, especially when you're not on the beaches. Like if you're off the beaches, then, you know, I would say cover your shoulders and wear, you know, longish shorts or skirts. You know, respect the cultures. You are in their country. Okay, so to find out what happens in Syria and if we ever do bloody get to Africa, tune in till next Thursday and you'll find out what happened in Syria. And obviously the Syrian border is closed because another heartbreaking what's happened with Syria in the last 10 years or so. Okay, so that is a wrap, and the website's come along, so you can head over there to manyroadstravel.com, and you can even support the podcast because I am trying to keep it ad-free. So if you'd like to buy me a coffee or a beer, that would be awesome. All the details are on the website. Okay, I think that's it. So until next time, safe travels, one road at a time.